folks.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we're rolling now.
Fuck.
We got Bret Raybould here. He's the first publicly traded comedian.
And he's the first guest on the Good Crack podcast.
And the first guest.
Which is
Oh,
crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
Really?
First
You are the
guest.
Oh,
first
my
guest,
God.
Yeah.
We were like always expecting to bring in guests eventually, but like we should probably establish this whole thing first.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what a better first guest than the great Bret Raybould.
Yeah.
We're excited.
I would love if after this you're like, hey, you're like, guys, we're not doing guests again. That did not work.
You walk out and it's like, hey, you're here. Let's just do a solo episode. And that's
It goes from episode 6 to 8, and it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, I don't know.
The lost episode.
the lost episode. And then maybe we'll get the Patreon going eventually, and that'll be episode 1, the lost episode with Bret Raybould.
Wow, the one that's been buried in the annals of history.
And we'll have a BretCoin wallet for a subscription. You
There,
know?
that's right.
There it
The
is.
BretCoin wallet for subscription obviously is a great idea because it's eventually going to take
So
over
Bret,
finance.
Joey met you a couple weeks ago. I hadn't met you because I wasn't there that night, but give us a little background about yourself, where you're from, how'd you get out to Brooklyn or New York in general? What's the deal with Bret Raybould?
The deal with
Just the plugs.
but yeah. Well, if I was doing just the plugs, I would just say my Twitter and then I'd leave. That's so yeah. I moved here right after graduating school in 2014 with the express intent of I know New York's the best place to pursue and do comedy and get better at it. You're among, I think, the best comics in the world. So being around good peers lifts you up. And that's the background, and I've been doing it for about 7-8 years, full time for 3.5. The timeline has become weirder with COVID, where I was like, I'm not gonna count myself as being a full time comic during a year of getting unemployment.
Did you do any Zoom shows or any outdoor?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
I did some sporadic Zoom shows and some sporadic.
What was that
outdoor.
like? Because I've heard comics talk about that, and I'm just like, I can't even imagine.
It's doing comedy over Zoom is just so much better than the live atmosphere. It's just preferred, you know what I mean? It's just so much better being in your bedroom.
He's one of those guys. It's like, I'm gonna stay working from home. Actually, yeah.
This is perfect.
But where are you from, Bret?
I'm from
originally?
Kansas City. Yeah.
Oh wow,
Oh,
holy
cool,
fuck.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
was it a big jump for you to come out here? Did you feel any culture shock, or have you been to New York a lot, the East Coast?
I mean, I have become a much more hardened individual from being here. I was very lucky when I moved here. I moved in with my brother who already had a place. So he had, at the time, 3 other roommates, and I supplanted one of them. So it was I was so lucky because I got to move into, I got to live with my brother, and then I didn't have to do as much BS figuring out how the hell to get an apartment and all that crap.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And my brother Jordan was instrumental in helping me figure out, doing mics and meeting comics and, just doing it in New York. So I have a very fortunate moving to New York story. I did live in a windowless apartment for about 4 years. So that
What
was
was
tough.
that like?
Wow.
It was, it was beautiful. It was,
Probably got good sleep.
You made it what you want it to be. You can see anything you want.
that's a very romantic way of looking at it.
Vitamin D deficient.
I felt like Harry Potter under the cupboard. But, my mom, I remember buying one of those sad lamps. Have you heard of those?
No.
No.
Do you know a sad lamp is a light that it's like a little light, like that big, and it's supposed to mimic the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's called a sad lamp.
It's pretty sad that they named it that.
Dude, exactly. It's you could have named it a happy light, but a sad lamp is now I'm being reminded of my depression.
And your lack of sunlight that you get every day.
Yeah. Exactly.
Have you seen that shit lately? I see it all over the internet now where people are just projecting windows. They have a projector and they'll project a window onto a bare wall of the rainforest or something. I'm like, well,
Oh, man.
maybe just get a fucking window for real or something.
Or an Oculus.
Yeah, well, that's
Go into the digital world at least, you know?
We were in the height of COVID, and I was broke still, and just fucking it's winter now, and I hate my life. I was like, you know what I should spend money on is a fucking VR system. I got the Oculus, and it just instead of watching Netflix in my dark, depressing winter home, I'm like on a fucking mountainside in Malibu watching a giant movie screen. I'm like, this is better. This is where I need to be. Virtual reality is the future for sure.
Really
Do you like VR? Like, did you actually enjoy the
Dude, I
experience?
love it truthfully because like when I bought this thing and it was like the Oculus. I don't mean to plug Oculus because I know it's owned by Facebook and those fuckers don't need any more business.
Let's see. Call it BretCoin. Just so
Okay,
you're
yeah.
plugging.
BretCoin VR. This is what we're talking about.
I
When
get
got
their
the
plugs.
BretCoin VR. It was great because it's like they're relatively cheap now. Like originally when they came out, you needed like a fucking supercomputer to do it. But it's like when I got this, I'm like, every home in America should have this, and I think eventually they will because it's like the technology is kind of like what you could do with it is limitless. And like when you search shit, I'm like, I wonder if there's like a place where I could just like draw 3-dimensional objects, and you Google it or like, you know, search it on the store and they have it. And then there's like games where it's like, hey, today I feel like ripping someone's head off with my bare hands. You could go do that.
You can, yeah.
Prevent a lot of murders, probably.
You could watch movies with your friends. Like everyone's got COVID. You're fucking sitting in your home in Brooklyn. I'm sitting in my place in Jersey. Like we're sitting next to each other. Like, hey, like I love fucking
Pound fist.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Wait. There's a software in it where you can you're like in a makeshift theater.
You're in a movie theater, and you could choose the movie theater. It could be like a 1940s gangster movie theater. You could be on a beach with a campfire, and there's a giant movie screen that you could fucking move around, expand the size, and it's like, hey Joe, we're watching fucking Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it's like you're looking at your homie like, yeah, dude, movies is great.
And when you look over, what is he? It's their avatar.
Yeah. And you
With
could
like
like
their
get
little floaty hands,
you could get like just
like
randomly,
a wee bowling guy.
yeah, kind of.
exactly.
But you could like manifest digital popcorn and like throw it at each other or a drink and like mimic drink. It's crazy. It
Smash
really
the
is.
glass on his head.
Yeah, it's probably more of a hindrance because I'm not gonna like pay attention to the movie then if my buddies they're just digitally fucking around. But it's cool, man. The technology is gonna be interesting for BretCoin VR, and we're very excited about it.
How much pornography have you watched using it?
Well, listen, obviously that's like the first thing on every guy's mind, right? And I'll tell you this about VR porn is it's very, you're curious, so you got to try it. And the thing that they don't tell you about VR porn is like they want you to feel like you're there, right? So like when they produce these, I guess they have like a headset on the guy, so it's all first person porn, right? But like the sizing doesn't match up. I don't know how to describe.
Oh wait, we said.
Do you mean how porn stars have bigger dicks than us?
No, not even that.
Or than you? Excuse me.
So you're sitting there,
Your
right?
virtual one.
You're laying there on your couch in New Jersey, but like now you're in like some random home and on a beach or something.
Yes, right.
And it's first person. You could look at your body, and there's a woman on top of you straddling you. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know how to describe.
Isn't she? She's like a mountain.
She looks like she's an Amazon. Like she looks like she's 40 feet tall. And I'm like, it almost feels like you're getting fucked by a giantess. And I'm like, this is a little too much. Like, this is kind of horrifying. But if you're into that, it could be quite dope, But
my friend, one of my good buddies, Eli, has one, and he goes, dude, you want to just see porn on it? And I was like, sure, I'll watch. And I put the headset on for 10 seconds, and I was like, I can't, because it was just too. Yeah, the analogy, I felt like it was like the ring from Lord of the Rings, where I was like, it's too powerful, it must be destroyed. Get rid of it.
Dude, you just spend half of your waking days.
I'm like, no, I don't want this.
40% of this technology is going to go to innovation for education and gaming and whatnot, and the other 60% is going to go to porn.
I'm going to say 80-20.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Because what's going on in Asia, they already say that none of those people are going to reproduce anymore because they have VR porn. So who knows? But the thing about it is this.
That's interesting.
I've read an article that
the sex doll industry there is so advanced.
I read a really in-depth article that just rebirthing in Asia is dropping significantly because the young men of China are just so involved in porn and sex dolls and sex toys and shit because it's you could have an AI sex doll now that it's I will fuck you anytime you want, and it's well, why do I need a wife then? Why do I need to reproduce?
Well, that's what the brain motivationally might do.
Right. Well, like you said, it's the fucking ring from the Lord of the Rings. Once you put it on, the one thing I will say is this though, when you have a fucking VR headset hanging off your face and you're like, well, I guess I gotta jack off now. It's maybe the most horrifying thing in the world to just be sitting in a room where you can't see what's actually happening around with you with your dick in your hand. It's like anyone could walk in. Like it's either going to be your mother or a serial killer. No options good. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
My buddy, when we had this idea where I was like, all right, obviously if I didn't because I was my friend, but you masturbate when you watch the VR porn. But here's the thing. Your hand doesn't mimic what is happening on screen, obviously. Yes. So my idea was with my friend was like, all right, I'll put the headset on. Will you blow me? Because I can then and is that because I'm looking at like a beautiful model or whatever.
It could be a loophole.
It could be, and then I just take it off and I'll be like. And then he'll be like, my turn. I'll be like, oh, sorry, man, I gotta go.
Yeah. I hate to admit it.
I got a mic to go to.
Yeah. I hate to admit it because I don't want to divulge all my porn taste right now, but I have seen porn, like not VR porn, just on normal porn websites where the premise of the porno is some kid is wearing a VR headset and jerking off to VR porn, and then some like woman comes in and is like, oh, and then just starts fucking him while he's in VR. So I'm like,
at that point, what is? Do they keep just VRing? Like clearly, they're like, that's not my hand.
Wow, this is so real.
My hand feels amazing. What happened? It's all wet and warm. What the fuck?
Wait, I think I heard. I feel the ground. I hear like footsteps. Like
there's hair in my face.
What the fuck is going on? This is so real.
This is so immersive.
So Bret, you have a brother, you said. And he was already out here doing comedy. Is he in comedy as well?
Yeah, he's in Nebraska right now for some comedy related stuff.
Oh, really?
Cool. Yeah.
Like just
he moved
long term?
Yeah, I think longer term. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he took a job and then is also doing stand up out there.
Oh.
Cool. Which sucks when your brother moves out. You're like, oh, damn. At least for me, I was like, damn, I lost my best friend in the city.
That's crazy
I feel
that you started.
Yeah,
like, me and
really?
Joey are lucky because we have each other. But, like, when you came out, did you guys have, like, a comedic partnership? Because, like, I couldn't get up at
because you guys have the Raybould brothers.
Yeah.
I saw you guys had some sketches and do some sketch comedy.
Yeah.
So is that kind of how it started when you got out here, jumping into that?
Yes, we would write and act and direct and whatever sketches together.
Hell yeah.
And that, I mean, it was so nice having like a creative partner that you can go to with your ideas, and then also kind of quote unquote like you want to work as hard as they work in a good way, and then also keeps you kind of accountable and doing stuff.
Yeah.
You said you had a brother or
older brother. Yeah.
Is he a comic too? Or
No, he's not a comic. He's he's
cool.
in finance. But he's definitely a man of culture and taste.
Patron of the arts.
Yeah, he's definitely a big patron of the arts. So if anything, that's been great because he's someone who's doing something different, but very involved and super supportive in like what I'm trying to do.
He wants to like watch your stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we even said when we were talking about this, like if we didn't have each other, like I can't imagine, and I give all the props in the world to some person that's gonna like come out to New York and just get up at a mic by himself.
Just like come here alone.
I know, like, all right, like even
system.
if I go up there and bomb and make a fool of myself, like I got Joey in the audience to like walk out after and be like, I fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
just
totally.
That emotional support. It really is like, as stupid as it sounds, it's the most like emotionally nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, especially the first time. Now we're getting comfortable with it, but like, you know how it is. Like we were talking before we started recording when you came in, but like comedy is fucking crazy, dude. To just get up there for your first time is like a fucking process.
It's comedy is like this like hyper delusional thing on like, I should just talk and people should listen. It's a very delusional thing to do. So
sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, without a doubt, having someone after a set to just commiserate on either the weirdness that was the open mic. I mean, there's some, you guys have been doing it. There's some lunatics who just go to these things.
For
sure. And then in your head, you're like, everyone is delusional here, including myself. But what is the level? Like, do I have some semblance of it.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm Eddie Murphy. Like, I got it. But I'm like, I'm not that, right?
I almost admire it a tiny bit sometimes.
Kinda.
Because I'm like, wow, they are hell-bent and there's nothing stopping that train. Unless it's just a tragedy.
As fuck, folks, another really exciting ad from Third Horn Investments, the great investment company out of Dallas, the Fort Worth area of Texas.
Yep.
And who do we have here today? Who did Jim Bloom send us? Jim, you son of a gun, you.
Jim Bloom sent us a hell of a man. Jim Bloom, this is Bret Raybould.
Yeah, that's right.
Right from the man.
Jimmy B told me he wanted me to promote more BretCoin on his podcast because I think, as you know, did he tell you?
No, he kind of just said he's got someone coming to visit us, someone we might like, and that is going to bring good business.
Yes. BretCoin has been, proud to say, officially added as a new asset class offered by Third Horn Investments. So that's pretty huge that's pretty big for BretCoin, even bigger for Third Horn Investment.
Very big for Third Horn.
Very.
As we've told you,
I was actually in Dallas last week seeing Jim. He got me this hat.
Oh, shit.
Thank you, Jim.
Wow.
And the thing was, Jim, you guys know this. We've been telling you for weeks now, invest with Third Horn because they're going to put your money in such a diverse place.
Right.
Your portfolio is going to look like this. You're going to have money in publishing. You're going to have money in filmmaking. You're going to have money in real estate, commercial real estate. Guerrilla wars in South America. But it's all good.
Right.
And think about this, folks. What is the one market Jim Bloom hasn't touched yet? The crypto market. And what does that allow you to do? Jim's already got your money in some crazy places. Middle East.
And nothing is more Texas than the crypto market.
Yeah. But now you get some cryptocurrency. Not only just any fucking cryptocurrency, not that bullshit Dogecoin. You got BretCoin. And tell us what you could do with BretCoin, because it's this. Just to be clear for some of our more darker fans, this is untraceable, right?
Yes, it's untraceable. I've been told by Jim a lot of what's great about BretCoin is it's actually helping on the black market. A lot of people purchase unregistered firearms that are actually going toward. We're happy to say we're supplying a lot of children with weaponry.
Is good because for hunting.
Well, with
to make it
for hunting
and
for
Texas
kids.
new laws too.
Yeah.
You don't need a license for a firearm.
No,
so
totally.
It kind of streamlines.
Yes,
And
I mean
kids
the children
need to
are.
eat,
Yeah, the children are in South America.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's
international.
Super. It's international, and there's something that feels good about have you bought a kid a gun today?
Yeah.
And I think it feels good to that kid can use this gun for whatever they need. If they need to shoot a moose in South America.
It's like the imagination, you let the kids run wild with it. Those kids are going hungry in South America. Kill a polar bear in South America. Kill a moose.
Sure.
You need to eat.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Then that'll last them for
break barriers.
a couple months,
Well, hey, we were saying Cardano, the Ethereum killer.
That's right.
Jim Bloom was very specific in picking his first cryptocurrency for this asset class, and BretCoin is it's going to be the Bitcoin killer.
That's right.
It's better than Bitcoin.
We're coming for Bitcoin. It's just the way we do it is just better. I mean, there's Jim told you, there's 20 million and one BretCoin that it went up Bitcoin. So it's inevitable that BretCoin eventually, much like El Salvador adopted Bitcoin.
Yeah. I
intend for BretCoin to be adopted by every other Latin American country as their mainstream.
Bolivia.
Bolivia, Honduras' president.
Venezuela. They really need it.
Yeah, and me and their president, our texting exchange getting pretty intense.
They're fucking tight, guys.
We're good buddies. Yeah, we're going golfing together in a few weeks, but I shouldn't mention that.
Good guy.
Yeah, we'll take that out.
Yeah.
But folks, you're going to go to www.thirdhorninvestments.com/crack, and you're going to use code BretCoin to have an investment match of up to $50,000 on your first investment in this new asset class.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Folks, Third Horn Investments brings you BretCoin, and we're happy to have him. Thank you, Bret.
And don't forget to tell Jimmy B the Crack Boy sent you.
As fucked up as it sounds, it's thank God we're doing these open mics, because it's you could go up and this is obviously so pretentious and full of shit to say, because you said, you have to have some level of lunacy to be doing this in the first place. But you're man, I did fucking terrible tonight, but not as bad as that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Or not even it's not even that they did bad, because listen, everyone has bad sits. I've seen some comedians that I'm wow, that kid's a fucking killer, he crushed it tonight, and then the next night he gets no laughs. That's just comedy.
And it's certainly at open mics, it's less of a barometer of at an open mic, not getting laughs is not. You shouldn't be oh fuck.
Right.
It's what's the circumstance?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some guys that get up there and I don't even know what that was. That was something from another dimension. This person does not live in the same planet.
Well, they had their VR set on when they were at the comedy club.
So then, do you remember your first open mic or your early comedy beginnings? What was that like for you? Did you have to establish your identity? You've been doing it for 7 years now, and that's, we're a month and a half in.
Sure.
So, like, what was that like? Do you remember your early days, your first open mic?
I do remember my first open mic was in Los Angeles. I was interning at the Conan O'Brien show on TBS, just as an intern. It wasn't like I was like a head writer or anything. But I was in LA. I was 18. I had no friends, and so I had wanted to do comedy. And the first open mic I went to, I actually didn't even get up because I like drove there. I was so nervous because just driving there. And I remember like being outside the venue, just like, and then I remember like right outside the door, and almost like cinematically, like my hand was like hovering near the door handle to walk in, and I just put my hand in my pocket and left and drove home. And on the whole drive back, I was like, you wussed out, like come on. And the next night went back, performed for 4 comedians, 3 of which were on their phones. Bombed, doesn't matter, but. I remember during my first set, at one point there was a guy. This was a bit much, but I was doing my bullshit, and he had his phone like this, and he looked up, and then if that's the stage, he just turned.
Oh wow!
And I was just in my head, I'm like, what? Being on your phone wasn't enough ignoring?
Right.
Like you had to throw it back at me?
Right.
Well, like I said anything too egregious. They were just not funny ideas.
See, that's crazy. I wonder.
I would just have such a hard time doing that personally. Like we told you how like we'll stick around for some of these.
That's
mics
so
till the
sweet.
very end.
That's the thing, though. You got to tell us, Bret, because that's crazy that you got up at 18, A, and B, your first time was in LA, because obviously, like, there's the LA comedy scene and then there's the New York scene. And the one thing that we said right off the bat, and like once again, we could be jaded because we're only a month and a half in, but like we got off stage.
That's the stage where you're not jaded.
The thing is, like,
the fact that you stay to the end at open mics to try and help other people figure out their ideas. Because, like, if we got off,
like, we've been in film and television. I've been on some pretty big movie sets. I've acted in a lot of cool things. But, like, I feel like the acting and film world is just, like, inherently egotistical. Like, you meet people and it's like, oh, great, you're doing this. Like, fuck you, I did this. We got off after our first open mic, and there was people there that have clearly been doing it for years. They really did well. They're crushing it. And it wasn't like, hey, like, we went up, great set. It wasn't like, thanks, man, and then walk away. Like, oh, who are you, man? Like, everyone was and really, so far, everyone in the New York scene has been so nice, so supportive, and, like, doesn't look at their phones much. Do you think that was an LA thing? Do you think, like, the scene is changing a bit?
I mean, I can probably compare stand-up and, like, I guess film and TV more, just in terms of stand-up as an art form is this never-endingly humbling thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like you ever turn a corner and, wow, I only ever have exclusively good sets. Especially since you're still, like myself for certain, still do some, like, kind of hell rooms or just really harder rooms. So it's not like, wow, it's over and now I only ever crush. No, they're going to be bad. And I actually think you're not getting to be a better comic if you're not still having some sets that are not as fluid or tougher, because it means you're not working on stuff.
Yeah.
There's a great Mulaney quote, which is if you're always doing the same set, you're not getting better. And if you're never doing the same set, you're not getting better. And I think I really liked that quote because it really applied, especially how I approached comedy at an earlier stage, which was this thought that, and it can happen with, like, I don't know how you guys are approaching it, but it can happen at an earlier stage where you're like, oh, I got to have fucking new jokes every fucking open mic. As if, I don't know if you feel that where you're like, oh, that guy saw that joke. It's like,
I do kind of feel that way. So
you don't, like, these things take time. Yeah, you don't, like, the goal isn't to have 15 hours of ideas. The goal is to have, ideally, eventually, an hour of amazing stuff. So don't, like, think you got to constantly just be throwing out a new premise just because that guy or someone had already seen. Like, you're not a hack for doing a joke 3 times.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That brings me to my next point. So you, which is crazy, like, you already have, how old are you, Bret?
I'll be 30 in a couple months.
So I feel like 30 is pretty young to already have your first hour. So
I was pretty proud of that. Yeah.
Tell us, it's been 7 years. Tell it, you started out, like you said, 18, doing the open mic in LA. Yeah. How did you build that over these years, and how did you get to the point where you established yourself as a comic with an identity to have an hour that you were confident in, to get into, like, to the sphere where, like, people would allow you to have an hour? I know you did it at a pretty significant club on the Upper East Side.
Stand Up New York.
And that was all self-produced.
Yeah. So I mean, you're like, how did you get to the point where people allowed you to have an hour? I didn't. I called up my filmmaking friend and I said I toured that hour on the road for a long time and I was ready to film something. Mm-hmm. It's a mix. Doing an hour in that way is this mix of like I'm ready and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be ready unless you say, all right, let's just do it.
Yep.
And it wasn't like I had worked on it a lot, so it wasn't like, I did 15 mics. Let's do an hour. But I think this era of stand-up most especially, it's if you feel like you have this stuff, then do it yourself is more a good way to go about it than waiting on opportunities, which is one way it's probably different than in stand-up than film and television.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is you are, in stand-up, you are a little bit, certainly on the creative end, you're the writer, director, actor, producer, etc. Mm-hmm. I think you have more control over your own destiny. And so I just got some cameras together, rented some nicer ones. I think I spent probably around $1,800, $2,000. I'm really lucky that my friend Connor Thompson, he's like a great filmmaker, so he knew.
Yeah, it was very well done. Very well.
And you guys are filmmakers, so I would actually be like, it looked good, right?
It looked very good.
I actually wish I had rented nicer cameras, spent another even like $600-$800 and got like, I don't know the equipment, but like there might have been even for another like, it's like, $800. I'm like, oh, I wish I had, not that I scrimped. It wasn't like we just used like iPhones or DSLRs, but I'm like, no, let's try and make it look even Netflix level. It's like one layer below it in terms of the production, but ultimately the material matters most of the and
it was very well done, just material and production, all of that.
Thanks, man. I'm really proud of it. And when my first open mic was 18, but I almost don't consider those 3 years doing it, 3 or 4 years, just because like I wasn't like
that was like the first time you got up,
that was the first set, but it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I was like, oh, I did some sets from time to time.
For sure. For that hour-long special, like when would you say the timeline was like, not that you were like, hey, I'm going to do a special in 3 years, but like, was this like a conglomeration of a lot of work and material that you'd been working on for years? Or was there like a clear point where it's like, I'm working towards a special, here's the material I'm going to refine down to an hour?
I've you know what? Ever since like my kind of first open mic, I've always gone, I'm going to have an hour. And I've always written towards that hour. Wow. Even at a stage when, and I'm never done. No one's ever done figuring out themselves. But I feel like you're always in a version of a new comic every new bit you're doing. When you're working on a new bit, within that bit, you're kind of a new comic. Yeah. Obviously, you have more experience and are maybe a little bit better at presenting the idea. But I'd kind of always been writing towards that hour, and that's why I try and write relatively evergreen stuff. I think my favorite way to approach stand-up is like stuff that's universal but original, and that's what's great about New York is there's so many different types of rooms, and getting on the road that you're like, I can perform for so many different types of audience, let alone the fact that in one particular audience there could be just like a diverse subset of people. Mm-hmm. And that I think is incredibly valuable for being a comic. I think the best bits are universal.
I
like
totally
broad.
agree. Yeah. Jeselnik has a great quote about that. Is like, the reason I don't do political jokes is because in 20 years we're not going to have the same president. You know what I mean? So you're going to go watch and be like, oh yeah, there was a president one time that did that. But it's like, and I'm having a hard time right now too, because you do see, and once again, it's the open mics. I'm just starting out, but like, it's like that idea of like, do I want to write jokes that I do feel are universal, or do I need to do something that's like relevant right now? Do I do the Gabby Potato Van joke, or do I do like the fucking Mussolini joke that's like a deep cut on historical fascism? You know what I'm saying?
Then there might be a way to do a Gabby Potato joke. There are ways to do jokes about stuff that's topical in a way that's like evergreen. Like, have you guys ever seen Elephant in the Room, Patrice's special? Do you know Patrice O'Neal?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Go to YouTube, watch Elephant in the Room. It's one of the best stand-up specials of all time. But he has a bit about how long, like there are observations to make about topical things, and the observation is, it's not like a specifically Gabby Potato. It's like, so here's an example. He has like a bit about, he says you want to know the value of a white woman's life, it's how long they would look for her if she went missing. And that bit is like, that bit will always kind of be relevant and true. But it's not like a specific, like
the observation itself is evergreen, and it's something that everyone understands.
And you can just apply.
Right. And there are ways to talk about, things like, there are like topical Trump jokes, but then there are like observations about like
politics
broader,
in general,
broader. Like if I do talk about politics on stage, I like doing it in a seemingly apolitical way. That doesn't mean my like point of view might not come across a little bit, but in a way that's not like, I'm not like, let me own the Republicans in this joke, or I'm going to own
or
Democrats.
Let me specifically talk about this one historic event that happened at the Republican convention in 2007. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like, oh, great. 40 years down the road, it's like, you remember that?
Who here remembers Mike Huckabee?
Yeah, exactly.
I got 10 minutes on Huckabee, 15 minutes on Marco Rubio. It's great.
Shit, you almost got the hour.
Yeah, we got a half hour on just 2 GOP candidates.
Well, yeah, I saw you had the Trump and Biden jokes. I had watched yours, and like that's a great example of that, where you have that.
That's the hope.
Yeah, that apolitical feel to what you're doing, where it's not like a statement.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you don't have to like, have, I'm not just trying to be like, I don't want to ruffle feathers.
Yeah.
But I think you
certainly have a point of view, which is like part of being a comic.
Right. And I think what's great about when you do material that way, you can do those jokes in other rooms, and it's all like, if you're seeing like come across as a little more liberal, if you're being honest and like the jokes are strong, even if you're performing in a conservative room, they like that more than they like phoniness. And I would say that pretty much that mentality can exist pretty much in any room. It's like authenticity. I think that's like the main goal of stand-up, is learning to be like honest and authentically yourself everywhere. Like and getting to just learning constantly how to feel comfortable as you wherever you are. And it can be hard because a lot of shows might have stakes. This booker's here at this show and now you're nervous, or this show, if I do well, I get X probably, and that can prevent you from being just more sincerely yourself. But the goal of stand-up, I really feel like, is just being comfortable and authentic in every room.
It's like a sense of vulnerability as well, because it's like you said, if you're going up there and it's like with any art, I feel like, I hate to be all artsy, but like, people appreciate...
Dude, art it up, bro.
Art it up, bro.
People understand.
It's like an
from
oxymoron.
The crypto guy, it's perfect.
I wish I wasn't in Brooklyn right now, so.
Bro.
But like,
art that shit up.
Vulnerability and authenticity, like even, the corn farmer in the Midwest and the art critic in New York City, you show them the same movie or the same play or the same stand-up, a lot of times they'll tell you when someone's like phony or really authentically giving themselves to you, you know what I mean? Being their true selves. And like, it's hard because like I said, like, I feel like part of starting out in stand-up or being a stand-up in general is like finding that identity that is authentic to you, but is also a stage presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, again, I'm not done with it. It's a never-ending process, but I really am excited about a lot of the newer stuff that I'm working on and writing for me personally, just because that first hour, I'm proud of it. I really like doing it. I think I stand by it. It's good. And I'm really proud of mixing traditional stand-up with like some absurdist comedy.
Hell yeah.
I retired at the end of it and sang jazz. Andy Kaufman style.
Buble.
Love it.
Buble. Sexiest jazz album in the country.
You crushed it.
Went 34 on jazz. right behind Harry Connick Jr. But coming for you, Harry. But
motherfucker.
he's such a twat. You can tell him I said
Fake Sinatra bullshit. Honestly, I think I've said it before.
Go.
If I ever was in the situation where I could fist fight Harry Connick Jr., I would. Because it's like, what gives you the right? I don't want to be one of these Italian Jersey guys right now, but what gives you the right to be the voice of Sinatra for the new generation? Like Bublé, he's a beautiful soul. He's got a beautiful voice. He does some of his own stuff. You know what I mean? Like he's got his own songs.
Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr.'s out there just peddling Frank Sinatra.
Literally milking the career after it's already finished.
Yeah, and it's like there's a name like Frank Sinatra, and you're like, that guy gets on stage, you're like, that's fucking Frank Sinatra. And then Harry Connick Jr. Who the fuck is Harry Connick Jr.? It sounds like he should be singing Midwestern country fucking. I don't know. I hate to get passionate.
Go.
The jersey's coming out.
Oh yeah, last week you got passionate. We got into Willy Wonka and Grandpa Joe.
I wonder if I ruffled some feathers with. I went on this fucking rant about, and I just didn't realize I was going to get that passionate about kids getting engaged at our age, like 22, 23.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like that was just my take on it.
Sure.
But then I realized, like, oh wait, a lot of people I know are getting engaged right now, and they're probably gonna see
the listenership drops.
Yeah,
like, oh wait,
minus 50 followers.
Great. No, it's like 4 of them, but I feel like that's still a significant number. But like, great, we lost 4 followers. Fuck you. Go enjoy your happy marriage at your fucking Florida honeymoon, because that's all you could afford is to go to Disney World, you stupid fucks. Sorry, we're not going to do this again. But yeah, Harry Connick Jr., cocksucker.
My favorite point on Harry Connick Jr. is you said, what gives you the right? It's like he's just singing.
That was the Italian in me. You're totally right.
But it's an Italian thing to say. I feel like, what gives you the right?
Well, Sinatra's just like, he's fucking sacred to us.
But Sinatra is not even a good singer.
He wasn't. That's the truth.
He was the nest.
The character, the man.
He's not. Yeah.
He wasn't that incredible of a singer. It's like he just had the passion in his voice. He was probably a better actor than he was a singer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's why I've played. So the album I made, Bret Raybould, it's a dumb jazz record. Actually, I'll go on the record. It's the best jazz record of all time.
Yeah, it is.
Better than Charlie Parker and all them. But
Whiplash 2, Bret Raybould.
I played. So one of my buddies had a bar show. It was fine. At the end of it, he finished and he told me, he was like, "Hey, can you press play on my iPod to have a song come on as the show ends, just some music?" And I pulled up my album, Bret Raybould, jazz record, streaming now on Spotify, and I turned on "Come Fly With Me," a song I sing on it, so it's just, and it's my version of it, which is me going like, "Come fly with me," which is not that hard of a song. I don't have any singing talent, but it's, anyway.
You have the only singing talent. You should be #1 on Spotify.
That is what I've been saying for years.
The listenership will push it up, trust me.
For years.
Listen, those wops back in Jersey, they just love hearing any Sinatra at all. Harry Connick, Bret, it's all the same thing. Bret Raybould is good. What the fuck am I saying? Bret Raybould is the new Sinatra.
I want you to get mad at me and go, what gives you the right to do stand-up and sing jazz? But we were talking to these, there's just like college kids at the show after just chatting it up.
Yeah.
And my version of "Come Fly With Me" is singing, is on the thing. And one of the college girls goes, "Oh my God, is this Sinatra?" And I said, yes, it is. So that's how not that amazing of a singer Frank Sinatra is. I truly believe it was the him that he just had the swagger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The voice is
charisma.
Is fine.
I always say I would let Frank Sinatra fuck my wife. That's who Frank Sinatra was. He's a lobster.
Yeah.
But you gotta love him. I think to put this to the ultimate test, the next sketch we should do, but it should be like a live art piece, is we bring Bret Raybould to Spiga's or just some greaseball at Novelli's.
Yeah.
Just some greaseball Italian restaurant.
I will do that.
North Jersey. We're going to dye your hair jet black. We're going to buy you the tightest suit we could find and get one of those skinny ties. And we're going to be like,
give him a glass of like bourbon too. You're gonna have.
What's the name? We got Bret Raybould Gincino. Like we changed his last name with a vowel at the end. Bret Raybould. And then it's like, they're all like, "Oh yeah, fucking Frank Sinatra." And he goes, starts singing. He's smoking like a cigarette. They're like, "Sir, you can't smoke in here." He's like, "Fuck you." And he just does Sinatra perfectly.
He is Sinatra. He can't.
And if you could fool those dirty grease balls, then you could fool anyone. You are Sinatra.
You're saying so many descriptions of Italians I would never go with.
Listen, it's all right. I'm Italian.
I know.
I'm not perverted. I'm just Italian.
You're Italian. You can say it. You can always call your own people the slurs of your own people.
Also, you could always be racist towards Italians. Everyone knows that. That's just the first rule in the book, Fuck Italians.
Because Italians are on the precipice of white, and Italians feel very strongly on like, fuck you, I'm not white. But white people are like, it's like, I mean, you kind of are. I get that you're not. It's like, it's this off-white gray area.
I don't know if you've ever been to North Jersey, but North Jersey Italians, 99% of the time, very straightforward, normal people, right?
Yeah. Folks, coming at you with another ad here. We love this company so much. Probably my favorite company of the three.
It's my favorite company of the three.
Actually, my favorite company of any company.
It's my favorite company in general.
The wallet.
The wallet.
Yeah.
It's a
wallet for your wallet. Yeah.
Yay!
It's if you're scared losing your wallet, you don't have to lose it anymore.
They're great. Your wallet gets cold, you just put a wallet on it. And remember all of that stuff we said before about the wallet and all remember those packages? We realized that was all a mistake. That was a total mishap. The wallet is just a normal company that just makes wallets for your wallets.
They're pranks. That wasn't.
It was all a joke.
Yeah. So if your wallet's cold and don't want to lose it, go to the www.thewalletwallet.com/crack and use code. The wallet is great and not bad. Great, not bad. And get that for generous 6% off your order.
It's such a good deal.
Yeah.
I love the wallet.
Yeah, someone said, hey, man, there's barely any noticeable difference between buying it and using the code price-wise, but that's wrong. That's not true. I
disagree.
You save money.
Thank you to the Wallet.
Thanks, Wallet.
Sponsoring.
You're the best.
And then you get that 1% where it's like you walk down the street tomorrow and I'm going to be at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm going to run into someone's dad and he's going to be like, you see it yet? You see the many saints in the work? That's all history. And I'm like, dude,
what'd you think?
Shut the fuck up.
You like Gandolfini? What'd you think?
He's going to talk about it like it's like the new fucking concerto from Beethoven. I'm like, sir, that's an HBO Max half-rate movie. Shut the fuck up.
Like, dude, the riots, my father, he was there.
My father, you could see him in one scene. They had an extra playing him, That was my dad.
I don't like the CGI they did. It was very inaccurate.
Amazing.
I love it though. Italians have it's obvious that Italians have like some of the most rich cinematic history in America.
I don't know. Yeah.
Right?
It's like, it's so interesting.
All the classics.
Like I am like Joey loves The Sopranos and I only had watched it for my first time this year.
It's on my perpetual life to do.
I think everyone should watch it just as a television piece. It's a great piece of television. You know what I mean? It's a precipice. It was the forefather for everything that came after, right?
Yeah.
But like I had a weird thing with it. I'm an Italian American. My dad came from Italy. We live in North Jersey, where this all takes place. I have no one in my family that is even related to the mafia, right?
Sure.
But then you go, me and Joey. I remember our first week at school. I met some kid. When you're in New York City, everyone's from all over the country, and you go, oh, yeah, I'm from North Jersey, I'm Italian. Oh, dude, is your dad Tony Soprano? And I'm like, fuck you, dude.
So racist.
Yeah, and I'm not even I'm not one of those guys to be like, yo, you're fucking insulting my culture. But it's just like, is that all you think about New Jersey is the fucking Sopranos?
And Jersey Shore. They'll be like, dude, you ever meet like this situation in Snooki?
No, man. I'm in high school. I'm trying to do geometry.
I'm 15, asshole.
I can't even drive.
Have you ever offed a guy? You ever fucking killed or whacked a motherfucker?
I'm looking at him. My learner's permit. Yeah, like then at the same time, Goodfellas and The Godfather are like two of my favorite movies ever. So it's like that's a weird thing to reconcile with, but it is what it is. There's
it's good cinema.
It's good cinema. I think it's more about that people don't realize that those are just really good fucking movies that happen to be about Italian Americans. Yeah, but it is what it is.
I want them to remake them, but with cornbred white people like myself.
I totally agree. Right?
Yeah.
I think we could fake him for Italian pretty easily. Yeah. We dye your hair black.
He has thespian energy.
Bret
Lucci
Cenzino.
That's your name. Well, how the fuck we doing, everybody?
You have
good?
A glass of scotch.
Yeah, got some scotch. Hey, how's your mother?
So you did this first hour, and now you have your podcast, Just the Plugs, and you're on Gas Digital. So that's a big deal. That's really awesome being in with.
I film at Gas Digital. I'm in the weird zone of like Luis J. Gomez. Love Louis.
So how did give a little brief of how that came?
Yeah, so
she's awesome.
Louis is great. Louis has me on his podcast, Realize Podcast, like once every month or two. Always appreciate it. And I had the idea for Just the Plugs. I just pitched it to him. And one thing you have to love about Louis is he loves comedy and he helps a lot of comics. And so awesome. I just like that idea of Just the Plugs works funniest in a nice studio because it's like this absurdity of, I bring someone in to do the plugs, but what's the point of this podcast? It's so pointless, but it's like nice, like it's a nice studio. So it was pretty simple. I just pitched him the idea and he was like, yeah, there's no amount of like, do this for me or do that. He's like, he has that studio, thought it was funny. And so one of their producers produces it. Hilarious, great guy, Harrington.
Hell yeah.
And that's how Just the Plugs, the birth of the most important podcast known to man.
So the podcast is this.
Trim the fat.
Joe was trying to explain it to me.
It's Trim the Fat.
You have guests on. You explained it to me. How long does like a typical episode?
So each episode, it's just the plugs. It's just the plugs. You come on, you plug whatever you need to plug, and then I wrap up the show.
So how long are they? Like 2 minutes?
2 to 6 minutes long.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So you just follow me on Instagram and Twitter and check out my YouTube, and I'll be like, thanks for doing the show.
And
Did you have fun?
I forgot whose episode I watched, but you guys almost dove into something, you're like, wait, if we do that, then it's not just the plug, so forget it.
Yeah, you have to, because you start sometimes talking about, right, and you're like that's not what we do at Just the Plugs. Yeah. It's just, it's my way of, if you're like me, I speed up podcasts to the end to get to the plugs. Because I just think that's the meatiest, juiciest part. So I wanted a podcast that's very, very typical. Or
well, you're doing God's work.
You are doing God's work.
Because everyone wants. Joe Rogan wants to do 5 hours. It's like. You had Bert Kreischer on recently, and I'm like, 5 hours? I'm like,
I'm 5 hour podcast?
I'm like, I'm not going to watch it.
If I saw a podcast that was 6 minutes, I would be like, no questions asked. Yeah. I'm going to listen to every episode.
No matter what I'm doing right now.
I'm ravenous.
Yeah, you can binge it. You can binge just the
You can binge the whole first season
within 15 minutes.
The Good Crack podcast challenge right now for Bret Raybould, Just the Plugs. I want everyone to go binge the entire first season in 1 hour.
It's on YouTube.
Bret Raybould on YouTube.
Film it of yourself doing a speed run, and then post it to Pornhub. And I'm going to watch it in VR later on tonight, just to verify you did.
Well, hey, speaking of VR porn, man, you were on Lisa Ann's podcast recently.
Oh, we love Lisa Ann.
Yeah, so that is crazy.
Yeah,
I hate to keep talking about porn here,
but it's like that's holy grail. I grew up on that.
That's true. That's like, every guy like.
How is that not surreal for you? Like, I wouldn't be able to speak.
Well, because they're also just people too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm not
She's
saying
not
that.
like, hey, what's up?
I know.
She goes, hi, how are you?
I know that like she really like frequents the comedy scene a lot. Like she's friends with a lot of comics.
Yes.
So tell us that story.
How'd that come to be?
So insane. The story is a friend of mine who's a friend of hers messaged her and was like, hey, I need a comic to read my mailbag. And then that friend was like, how about this guy? She watched some clips, thought I was funny, had me on her podcast to read her mailbag. Surprise! I don't know if you know this, but a legendary former porn star like her gets some weird emails. Believe it or not, I don't want to shock your system.
I'm gonna have to watch and be convinced.
Yeah. And then that went great, and then she had me back as a full guest, which it is surreal. When people, every guy. is like, that's cool, that's kind of cool, and every woman is like, who? And I'm like, you have no idea, she's honestly like the GOAT of porn. And I also go on the record and I will say that she is so good at she has it's pretty awesome that she trampolined off of her porn career into other fields. She doesn't do porn anymore. She's been like a sports broadcaster. She had a sports talk radio show. I see there's and she has so many interesting stories. Like she's like this great personality and documentarian of of a certainly off the beaten path life.
Right.
But I don't like to say I did Lisa Ann's podcast. My preferred way of articulating it is I shot some stuff with Lisa Ann. We did a scene together. It just sounds like
dude, that is. I swear to God,
it's just on Zoom. It's
I don't tell people that. Yeah, I just say, oh yeah, we have great on-screen chemistry, and she wanted me back for round 2. I don't know what you want me to say.
Surprising enough, there was a lot of laughs too.
Yeah,
laughs.
yeah.
Wow, you wouldn't expect that usually in that type of scene.
We were literally at the bar the other night, and we're like, yeah, man, we're interviewing this great comic, and they're like, that's dope. We're telling our friends, and we're like, and he was on Lisa Ann's podcast. They're like, what the fuck, Lisa? I'm like, I know, guys. This is
it's like, yeah. So let's just say good crack viewership and listenership's gonna skyrocket. It's gonna get real hard.
The Lisa Ann bump, man. I've been bumped by Lisa Ann, and
I don't know why porn is so intriguing. Like literally, Joey starred in my college thesis film that I also starred in, and it was like a 15-minute film about me being like the porn star in the 70s at the height of my career. And it's all about humanizing porn stars. And I'm like, why am I so fucking affected by porn? Like, I think it's Boogie Nights was just like the greatest deep dive into that thing, and I'm like, fuck, that's really interesting.
Yeah, that I still need to watch Boogie Nights, but
Jesus, Brett, come on, Boogie Nights.
I know. That actually that's one that is like I've heard just so fun to watch.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, you would definitely enjoy it.
It's hilarious too. Hilarious.
So I gotta get to that, but it is fun talking to someone where I've known of her for like 15 years. Like truly. I mean, I haven't said it to her, but most men have probably jacked off to her.
It's insane. At one point or another.
Yeah.
Some were huge fans, some one video every now and then.
Think about it. She literally came into my life at such a crucial moment, and she's still here. You know what I'm saying?
But she helped ferry generations of men through the awkward waters of puberty.
Yeah.
And I think that she deserves an award for that. I mean, I'm kind of not kidding that porn stars. I think porn stars so much more homicide would happen if they didn't do the work they do.
100%.
Big time. Big time.
You ever not jerk off for 3 days? Like, I'm so irritable. It's like the Snickers commercials. It's like, did you not jerk off, man?
You're not you when you got full balls.
Exactly.
But she's the best, and I really want to get her on Just the Plugs, and I for my own sake, I'm like, I've thought about like, this is a person who's had an interesting life. I'm like in my head, because I think like you guys too. Are you guys screenwriters? Like
I'm writing a feature right now, which I know you wrote one yourself too.
Yeah. Race the movie. And I'm like, I gotta write something for her. Because that would be very, I don't even know what, but something like The Wrestler, but for a former porn star.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Hard Love. Maybe we develop Hard Love with Bret.
Really?
Yeah.
There's some there. I mean, she is like beyond a former porn star. She's like a talented actress and all that. So I'm like, I'm very lucky to have Lisa Ann in my life.
Yeah, we got to give her Mickey Rourke moment, and just.
I kind of think like someone like her would be due, because like super famous, everyone knows her, but she's and I almost like feel like it sounds condescending to other porn stars to be like, no, but she's actually talented. Like, because I'm sure other of them have other talents. I'm sure some of them are.
They have their singular talent.
They have their singular talent, and that's
Which
great.
is a great talent. And it's noble.
It is. I believe that totally sincerely. That's why anyone who's judgmental toward porn stars, it's like, then you better not watch any.
Yeah.
You cannot be a dick if you've watched or watch.
Yeah.
Because fuck you. Like,
you get Good Housekeeping. You don't get the internet.
Yeah.
You're going to be like that.
Yes,
We're
totally.
just giving you a few issues of Good Housekeeping, and that's it.
Yeah, the magazine.
yeah.
Well, that's also what I masturbate to. And then I'm judgmental of the Good Housekeepers.
Yeah.
Lisa Ann is the queen. It's so interesting just being like, wow, I never in a million years thought I would have a conversation with you.
Especially thinking like comedy would get you there, because like you started the comedy with stand up and sketches.
Sure.
It's like that would have been the avenue.
Could you imagine? You know the old phrase like, "Would my 10-year-old self think I'm cool now?" And it's like, but your 15-year-old self, if you told him like, "Yo, you're gonna do comedy and you're gonna talk to one of the greatest ever," he wouldn't believe it.
He would go,
be like, "You're the fucking man."
If I could go back to 16-year-old me, like jerking it on the bed, and be like, "You're gonna talk to her one day." And
so you better straighten up.
That's nuts.
Don't blow
dude.
this.
That truthfully is nuts. Wow.
But that's still one of my career highlights. Was truly talking with Lisa Ann, and now we're just the best of friends. And I had a friend text me, and I was like, "What do you think?" He goes, "Did you guys hook up?" I was like, "What do you think this is?" Like that's probably the annoying part of being a former or current porn star is every guy thinks your on-screen persona is you. Like,
talk about delusion.
Yeah, talk it seriously. I've heard her talk about it, and she used a really good word choice where she called it like she's like a stunt man. And that's like a really good, I've never heard that word choice where it's like, this is like it's a form of a stunt. It's a kind of performance art to a degree.
For sure.
Obviously I'm sure they enjoy sex to some of it, but
I don't know if anyone's
it's
ever had sex, but it's not anything like porn. And if you feel that way, maybe you're in the wrong industry.
Yeah, the sex you're having isn't.
You guys have to talk to Lisa.
I always have sex with 6 other dudes in the room. My preferred way.
So, Bret, it's a big deal. And I was really excited to talk about this because this is kind of what our jumping off point was when I met you.
We met at the Lantern.
Yeah.
Or it's now called the
Comedy
Bronx
Shop.
River Yacht Club.
Yeah. So you're the first publicly traded comedian.
That's
it's
true.
A big deal.
It's a big deal.
Big deal, especially as social currency becomes more of a
That's insane.
real and tangible thing.
Folks, our first ever guest is also the first ever publicly traded comedian. That's kind of historical.
Yeah, definitely.
It's truly people will be reading about this in the history books.
I'm excited.
No, you got to wear that with pride. And I know you do.
I wear it with so much pride.
Give us the deep dive on BretCoin.
So
Tell the people.
Here's the story of how it happened. I had this idea. I actually originally launched my own trading exchange called Bret Trade.
You're into like crypto and
I got into it over the pandemic.
Yeah,
I put all of my unemployment on it.
Hell yeah.
Swear to God.
No, I hear you.
It turned out to be the best accidental financial decision of my life. I don't feel some people who get lucky off of crypto or like in a stock, like they think they're now smart. It's like, no, you scratched off a lottery ticket, you dickwad. Don't be like, no, this is how you invest. So and that failed because turns out people don't want to launch their own account to join my trading exchange. Like it was Ameritrade.
You have to connect your wallet, and so they're like, oh, I don't know if I should.
You can find that on the stock market.
Not Bret Trade. was its own website, BretTrade.com.
Oh, really? Wow.
You know how there's Ameritrade or Scott Trade or whatever.
Like, okay,
I built my own. I didn't do the building. A developer from Pakistan I met off Fiverr did. Now, he did a great job. I only gave him like $800, which in the grand scheme of, hey, build me a trading exchange.
Yeah.
What do I expect?
I'm working on an animated series, a comedy one, which I'll definitely get you involved with and get your thoughts. But that's exactly what I was thinking for animation. I'm just like, I think we're going to go to Fiverr and give someone a cool opportunity.
No, yeah. And
save some money.
Save money. It's an opportunity. But in this guy's defense, $800 to people, Ameritrade probably costs tens of millions of dollars to build.
Literally.
Right.
So I'm like, what the fuck do I? It's like if I gave you $50 and was like, all right, cool. So you're going to build me a Ferrari. Yeah. Like that wouldn't be, that's not.
It's right over there.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, that'll do. I'll take that bike.
It's got brakes.
Cool. That'll do. I'll take a nice bike. It's binding.
I did it again.
That's my cost to do a podcast is I charge you a nice bike.
One bike, sir. Here you go, as promised.
But that didn't really work out, and crypto was, still re-entering the mainstream, and so I basically had BretCoin was what it was always called. So there was a fan of mine who one day reached out on Instagram just to talk, and so I said sure, and we were on the phone, and the first thing he said was like, I can't believe I'm talking to you right now. And I was like, dude, I am so available. Like,
I can get coffee right now.
I was like, what? You could have said any hour of almost any day, and I was there. But I mentioned the idea to him. I was like, and he was, because he was into crypto, and he was like, I said, do you think you could do that? And he goes, 100%. Months later, he would later tell me he had no fucking clue what he was doing, but he wanted to be involved. But this kid, hilarious, good young man who's now in his freshman year of college. His name's Matthew Garchick. Developed the code. It was built on the Ethereum blockchain. It is a real cryptocurrency. And I'm actually submitting my application to be on Coinbase.
Nice.
I'll probably finish the application tomorrow, which would be the best because one of the problems with having this crypto is a lot of people think it's cool, interesting. They even want to invest, but there's so much friction to invest,
right?
Where it's like, I got to be like, okay, get a MetaMask wallet.
Yeah, UniSwap, all that, and people get a little intimidated. Word.
Yeah, and I can understand people are like, it's not worth that labor. Which, I mean, I would tell those people, you're idiots, because this is that once in a generation wealth building opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to send your great grandkids to college, then buy $50.
Well, hey, if it's getting close to listing, now is really the time.
You got to say this. You remember that scene in Forrest Gump when he accidentally buys Apple stock? It's like that. You're Forrest Gump right now.
Don't do it accidentally.
Did that happen to Forrest Gump?
Yeah, in Forrest Gump.
I forgot that.
This is like so brief. It's
he
like,
thinks it's an Apple company.
Yeah, he's like, I invested in some fruit company, and then he's a billionaire years later. And I'm like, wow, like Forrest Gump really hit it big.
Forrest.
Met 9 presidents, and then just became an Apple billionaire.
It is. Then it's that. I've told people it's like buying Amazon stock when it was $4. Exactly. So I mean. You know, so we launched with an IBO, which is an initial Bret offering of 100,000 tokens at 12 cents a token on UniSwap, uniswap.org, BretCoin.org. If anyone wants to invest, that's good. That's how you go do it.
Oh,
take the time. Right? Yeah. Take the time to learn how, because truly. And I've said it before, I really think that, and I appreciate you having me on your show because it allows me to share it with more people. I genuinely believe, given the confluence of first mover advantage, my work ethic, my ounce of talent, that this crypto can be one of those great stories. And I'm never going to stop promoting it. It's a 40-year project. So if you invest now, you're making a bet that I'll get more famous than the more I am today. I cannot get less famous. Literally, it's impossible.
Right.
Guys,
so
this is fucking... He's going to be bigger than Harry Connick Jr. Get in on the ground floor now.
Fuck you, Harry. I have a better crypto than you, bitch.
Yeah, Harry's going to go broke and BretCoin is going to just go
I'll tell you what gives you the right, Bret. You have a fucking coin. Where's fucking Harry Connick coin? Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck.
He's at home listening to this now like, he's calling his manager, why don't I have fucking cryptocurrency?
Connick coin.
Fuck.
But it really is a great idea because social currency, like I'm seeing so many different projects pop up for like influencers, artists, musicians, whatever, to just create their own.
Yes.
And do that.
And mine is its own token.
Right.
Those are on a website.
Right.
I don't know the exact website. And that website, I believe, is a scam because they're just going to take a portion of it.
Yeah.
And they're basically going to try and become the Amazon of people's identities and their social currency, which all that to say they're just going to take a piece of it. And I don't agree with that ethically. Right. I don't agree with that from an economics point of view. I think having your own is way smarter. I don't trust those websites. I think they're scams. They also did this thing where they like parked famous people's Twitters or their cryptos. We made you a crypto. Crazy Kim Kardashian. We parked it for you. Some people threw money at Kimcoin or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah.
And then that company is just getting money off of someone else's name.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fraud.
Well, they said the rapper Lil Yachty was like promoting it, and I'm like, all right, well if that's true, that's kind of a big deal. But then I go and look through it, and like there's no record of anything where Lil Yachty is like, hey, do this, you know? So it's just...
They're liars. They're thieves. They're thieves. Not Bret, though. Bret is the most trustworthy charlatan out there.
No rug pulls with BretCoin.
No, I actually engineered the token to guarantee that it's unrug pullable to show trust with anyone who invests.
Hell yeah.
Here's how BretCoin works. The maximum total supply of BretCoin is 21 million and one. You might go,
better than Bitcoin.
That's right. 21 million is the maximum supply of Bitcoin. So we went up to those motherfuckers. We went up. We're just one better. I don't know. Maybe we'll become, have a higher market cap than Bitcoin.
Dude, at the end of this day, we're gonna have hits on our heads from both Harry Connick Jr. and Satoshi Nakamoto. We're starting a wars on this.
You want to hear a low key? BretCoin is actively working on getting Satoshi on our board of directors.
Wow.
You want to hear? This is what I mean when I say that. I've looked on LinkedIn. That name, Satoshi Nakamoto, to just find a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto so that I could invite him on the board so I can now legally say, well, Satoshi Nakamoto's on the board.
That's gold. That's gold.
Right now, we're awaiting. We're still working on that part of the project. But the vesting structure of BretCoin works as follows. Every BretCoin transaction, one is minted. So I only had the totals current existing supply is 2.2 million. The reason I did that is I needed 100,000 to sell in a pre-market raise, so I had enough liquidity to go to UniSwap, and I sold those. And then I did 100,000 on UniSwap, and of that, about 45,000 have sold. Now, at a later date, I want to do not our soft launch, but our main launch of 1 million BretCoin.
Mm-hmm.
Probably coinciding with some special that I want to film called Bret Raybould Goes Public, in which I have on that day the tokens go live on Coinbase. And I also would film, I think I want to do a live special live on YouTube.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Like at a club, and also do like an investor presentation, like a comedic one, why I'm a great investment. And those are some of the plans. But, BretCoin, it is both earnest and ironic, sincere and sarcastic. And you might go, what do you want to do with the money? Are you just going to sit on your ass and eat cereal? No, I'm trying to make a movie with this money. It's functioning to me as a capital raise for a movie. And the movie, we wrote a script, my friend and I, and we won a big script contest, and we thought we beat out 5,500 scripts, and in that moment we were like, it's gonna get sent and it's gonna get made. It's like so relevant. The movie's called Race the Movie. It's about race. It's a slapstick comedy that spoofs all of the Oscar bait race movies, White Savior and prestige race movies. So Green Book, Hidden Figures, The Help, Get Out, Black Panther, 12 Years a Slave, Django. It's like a spoof of all those, like Scary Movie but for what Scary Movie was to horror, this is to the race movie genre. And we were like, it's so relevant. It's like so. And then every distributor was kind of some version of like, yeah, it's real. People will be mad. And you're like, no, they won't. No one who is reasonable will be mad.
Right.
Like people will get the jokes.
Yeah. People are gonna be mad whether you make that or you just make a new Guardians of the Galaxy.
Someone's mad about something.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's mad about, and you can find enough people on Twitter who are mad about.
Which is like, I don't know why that's like a concern in today's society, because it's like, hey guys, it's called like art, like that's just how it works. You know what I mean? Like there's someone out there that doesn't like Jaws. That person's a fucking idiot. But like, it's why let
they're entitled, so just let them do it.
Yeah. So this is like the part where I'm like, this is the real part of the pitch. Crypto affords us freedom from traditional financial institutions. An artist having their own crypto can afford that artist, in this case me, freedom from traditional creative institutions. And we all know the creative institutions have been pretty bankrupt on good comedy movies in the last decade.
There is none.
There is none. That genre has been decimated by streaming, by people not going to the movies, and by, I think, a talent drain on the comedic screenwriting community, because I think a lot of talented people are focusing on making some great stuff that is like on the internet, but there's just a talent drain. I think a lot of people... I
couldn't agree more. I was literally just talking about this with my friend. It's like, hey, I want to watch a comedy movie, and it's like, great, well, we'll throw on Superbad, because like there's nothing good from the last 10 years.
You're going to have to go 12 years back.
When was the last time you were like, oh, that's a great comedy? What they've done is like they just injected a slight bit of comedy into the next Marvel movie, and it's like, oh, Thor Ragnarok is a comedy movie now, but like I want to see real comedy. Like I want to see fucking Caddyshack again.
Yeah, so that's like that's the hope that I can get the story out there to enough people and have them buy in. And that's why I needed to work on Coinbase, because I'm not going to be able to convince enough people to get a MetaMask wallet and go to UniSwap. But those ones who do will win big. I believe this is the ground of the ground floor on a crypto that is headed directly, not to the moon, but to the sun, baby.
To the sun.
I think, listen, it's such, like you said, it's such an incredible story. And it's like, you just laid it out perfectly. And it's like, you're combining the tech world and the world of like all this weird, absurd nonsense that's just happening around us financially. Just like, think about this year alone, socially and culturally, like what happened with cryptos and like the whole GameStop stock thing. Like, no one our age have ever been this invested or just like interested in economy ever, or
just like on the retail investor end, like everyone is involved with it in some shape.
It's been
or
mainstream
form.
in a good way.
In a great.
And it's like, let's bring the arts into that. Let's fucking poke fun at that. Let's make it funny. Let's do it for real.
Yeah,
and it's brilliant.
And I love the idea of there being a price representation of my market value as a comedian. Let's say I crush a TV set, price will probably rise. Let's say I get Me Too'd, price will probably plummet. So I'm kidding, fellas. I would never do that to my shareholders.
We weren't even rolling, so we're good. Because we trimmed the fat off to get to the plugs at the end.
Wink, wink.
You son of a bitch! You took my idea. I'm taking your fucking bike. You can have my podcast idea. I'm taking your bike.
Fuck.
It's worth more for sure.
But yeah, listen, this is great, and folks, ground floor of the ground floor. And if you get it on Coinbase, everyone has a fucking Coinbase now. You fucking put in your credit card, you buy some
the
coins.
major listing
the application. If Coinbase, to their credit, I think they democratized the ability to get on, if I'm not mistaken. So I might actually, I'm submitting the application tomorrow, but I might actually have a chance of getting on there, which would be, that would just be huge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. Maybe they'll say no. Maybe the SEC will lock me up. I don't know.
It's just like the phrase alone, like the first publicly traded comedian, like that's just brilliant.
Yeah,
like
I get to forever say that, which is nice.
No matter what.
That's the thing, and there's some famous person will do this and get some fame off it, but the right person to have it be first is a not famous person because the gains haven't been made yet.
Right.
And I think as a comic with a bunch of interesting projects, I don't think I've had my mainstream moment where I've popped, and I think it's due. So I hope folks listening do too, but or I'll burn up in the sun, and that's fine. But either way, at worst, it's been a funny bit.
Yeah.
And at best, it's going to make me a trillionaire. So anything short of that is a failure.
Well, fuck, hey. On that note, I never pressed record. We trimmed the fat, and now this is where you get to shine. Where can the people find Bret Raybould and get involved with the man himself?
Follow the Instagram at Bret Raybould, Bret with one T, and then RAYBOULD. Follow that for information on tours too. BretCoin.org. Go to that if you're interested in learning more about that project. I have an hour special on YouTube called Bret Raybould Retires from Comedy. Please check it out, and if you like it, you know what they do. Hit the subscribe button. We're bumping the numbers up, folks.
Bump them up.
And finally, Bret Buble is streaming on Spotify. If you want to buy a vinyl of it, I did print vinyls. Just let me know. That was a poor financial decision, printing vinyl. But I'm proud I did, and I'm happy I did. And if anyone wants one, let me know. They're $15. Cool.
I will be buying.
Yeah, I'll be taking one as well.
Oh my! You want to buy them wholesale?
I will buy them now. I'll take 10.
Yeah, you want to buy a pack of 50? I'll sell it to you wholesale price, Joey, and then you can sell it door to door.
Or we'll sell it on here.
There,
just like every episode, it'll be one of our ads. We'll be like Bret on Buble. It'd be great.
Maybe I'll take out an ad on your pod.
Yeah,
that's so fun. We'd like to thank our sponsors today, Bret on Buble.
Well, yeah, one of our sponsors, Third Horn Investments, cutting edge, multifaceted investment firm based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Is that real?
No, but it's real. It's real. It's real. I'm probably gonna bleep out the word no when I say that.
Yeah.
They're pushing BretCoin heavily.
They are.
Heavily. It's on their balance sheet. It's gonna be on the Good Crack podcast balance sheet too.
Quit appealing to my pathetically insecure ego where I'm like, it is on their balance sheet. Of course, in my head, I'm like, of course it is.
No, it is. It is. But folks, Bret Raybould, thank you for coming today, man.
Thank you so much.
That was fun, guys.
What an incredible first guest, I have to say.
Yeah.
So.
I would say probably you've peaked on guests.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say so.
Well, hey, first publicly traded comedian was the first guest on the Good Crack podcast, our first podcast.
That's wild.
Look at that.
A lot of firsts.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that name?
It's a long story.
Yeah.
In Ireland, I spent a weekend in Dublin.
Just the plugs on it.
Okay.
You had good crack.
No, in Ireland, they say, hey, mate, that's some good crack. And I'm like, I was there, and I'm like, why is everyone talking about crack? Like, is everyone here addicted to crack? Is there a crack epidemic? And then I found out it's crack, C-R-A-I-C, and it's a word for them that just means, like, fun. Like, oh, like, that bar's good crack. Like, let's go over there for some crack. And I'm like, I love that phrase. Let me try to bring it back to America. And no one appreciated it. They all thought I was talking about crack cocaine. So when we were coming up with the podcast ideas, like, how about good crack? But we spelled it like crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So a little ambiguity. I don't even know what I'm saying. Sorry, guys. I smoked crack before this.
Yeah.
I can't speak. But, yeah.
The comedy is stimulating and fun and gets you high like crack.
We were hoping to find an Irish audience.
That is a good name, though, to be clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bret Raybould,
Matt,
appreciate it.
Smoke them if you got them,
Smoke
folks.
them if you got them, folks. Bret Raybould.
Hey, folks and kids. We're out here with another great sponsor today. Kids, a lot of cool stuff to do nowadays, right? The world's really cool.
The world's so cool for kids, you know? What do you got? TikTok?
Instagram.
Snapchat?
Yeah.
Twitter?
Xbox.
How about fuck all of that shit, you
Yeah.
fucking nerds?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, back in the day, it wasn't cool to smoke cigarettes.
No.
But you know what's cool again?
Smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, smoking
you
cigarettes.
know why? Because of one company.
Why, Matt?
I'll give you 3, 2, 1 reason why. 3, 2, 1 cigarettes, folks. They are the best. And let me tell you something. This has nothing to do coming from the marketing department. We've been talking to kids and we've been conversating with them. We've been hanging outside of high schools and
hanging outside of middle schools.
You know? And we're just trying to get a gauge on what the youth is doing.
Right. Trying to get into the mind of a child.
Yeah. We want to know what it's like to be a child right now.
Yeah, because it's crazy times.
And you know what we found? 9 out of 10 kids, and this is a fact, folks. You could look this up. 9 out of 10 kids prefer smoking 3, 2, 1 cigarettes to using TikTok. That's how cool those cigarettes are. You know why? Because they're healthy. They're tasty. They make you look cool. You know, you want to ask Jessica to prom? You're going to ask Jessica to prom with your phone in your hand while you're swiping on TikTok?
No.
Or are you going to ask Jessica to prom with a nice heater, 3, 2, 1 bogey sticking out your mouth and say,
You do the pointer finger ash as you're asking her, like, hey,
But
Toots.
Joe, what would you say to Jessica?
I'd be like this.
I'm Jessica, go.
What's up, Toots? How you doing?
Hi, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Is that a 3, 2, 1?
You bet your ass it is. And did you know that 10 out of 10 kids prefer 3, 2, 1 to any other opposing cigarette brand?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I bet you didn't, bitch.
So what did you want to talk to me about?
Well, a lot of things, but the main thing I wanted to talk to you about was prom. Heard you're going.
Yeah, well, Frank Stigutz already asked me, and he's the captain of the football team and the bowling team.
Yeah, well, Frank Stigutz uses racial slurs all the time.
Oh, my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but you know who doesn't use racial slurs?
Who?
3, 2, 1 cigarette smokers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1 cigarette smokers not only are healthier, but they're not racist.
I guess I can't go with Frank anymore. What am I going to do?
You bet your ass you can't. You know who you're going with?
Who?
Me.
Okay.
Now pack your shit up and let's go to the fucking car. Let's get out of here.
Sounds good to me. Hey, you got another one of those 3, 2, 1s?
Yeah, here. Smoke up.
What? So good.
It's literally that easy.
It's that
like,
easy.
If there's
folks.
any kids
That's
that
exactly
are watching
how
this,
that would go.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I got my junior formal, I got my high school prom, I got my
I got my 8th grade
social.
dance,
Yeah,
I got my
like,
5th grade.
This is how you get it done.
Kids should be smoking, and not any cigarette, because most cigarettes are bad, folks. We're not fucking idiots.
Right.
You know.
Right.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What we're talking about is not any cigarette. We're talking about 3, 2, 1 cigarettes. Healthy, toasted tobacco.
So
Freshly picked from the grassroots farms of Connecticut. And the Swiss Alps, I think they get some stuff.
Yeah,
too.
the water.
The water to wash the tobacco.
So, folks, with that said, folks and kids alike, you're going to go to
Especially kids, though.
Yeah, especially kids. www.321cigarettes.com/goodcrack, and you're going to use the code. All kids should be doing it. For, I think, 30% off your retail or wholesale order.
I think if you could provide the fact that you're under the age of 18,
you
it's
get
like
a bonus
50%
gift.
off. Yeah, and they'll send you a free pack.
Yeah. But hey, folks, 3, 2, 1, smoke them if you got them.
Smoke them if you got them.